morning, everybody. Thank you for being here. My name is Hassan Mason-Berry. You might see me the first time, and you know my friend here for a good time. Okay, so today we are doing BAS training overview for the 3 schools that's been added lately, which is Logan Middle School, Chapman Primary, and Chapman Middle. Today I will do the training through the web browser, which is basically not the same exactly as the usual software, which is the thick client, but overall, graphic-wise and everything else is the same. So there's a slight difference here and there, but we can go through that, okay? You can see here the shortcut that we created is called Building Operation Web. That is your access to the web browser. You can put that on your laptop, on your tablet, on your smartphones, any kind of connected devices to the county network that can have that. You'll have access to the system. Once you open that shortcut, you'll have this interface where you log in with your credentials. I'll use my credentials today, which is going to be the same as yours, to go and navigate the system. Probably you have an existing system already here, so you are used to this interface for a while now. What has been changed or been updated, that when we go from this page to the next page, we have the West Virginia map, and the red labeled area here is Logan County. All we have to do is click on the county map, and you have the schools spread out all over the county. So this one, the CPS, is Chapman Primary School, this one Chapman Middle, and this one is Logan Middle. So we can start from whatever school you like to do. I would go from Chapman Primary as the first one, and then we can go through that, okay? All right, so this is your start screen. It's basically your basic dashboard where you can navigate to the HVAC equipments, the floor plans, the summary, the alarms, and so on. If we focus on this side of the screen, on this green rectangular, you have some options here. Here you have the alarms. If we click on the alarms, that will show you an alarm review. If there's any alarm triggered, it will show under that screen. It will show if it's an alarm state or an acknowledged state. Right now, there is no alarm has been triggered, so we should be good. We have here the forced list. If somebody forced a value and overrides any kind of values in the system, a fan, a DX coil, a damper, and so on, and he forget about it. Of course, when you forget something like overriding anything, it might cause some issues. So always you can come back to this forced list, and it will show you if there is something has been forced and forgot about. Right now, we have 3 forced value. This value here, forced for a lead RTU, which is basically the one that we have in the gym area, and this one is forced to be active. Inactive gas heat. I think this is the equipment that
we need new heat chamber.
Yeah. So that equipment has like a problem with the gas heat. We force the gas heat to be shut. Once we fix this issue, all you have to do is unforce, and when you unforce, you hit save, okay? You unforce, and then the save will be here and it will be released to be normal with the program, okay? Whatever being programmed to do, it will start to act normally.
Can I say something real quick, Hassan?
Yep.
So the big difference with this new stuff over the old stuff, you know when you would disable a value and click OK? Well, on the new stuff, once you disable the value to whatever you want, you can't just click OK. There's a little, looks like a floppy disk, like he set up in the corner. You've got to make sure that you save it before you hit OK, because you can hit OK and not save it, and it won't do a single thing.
That's right.
So the biggest thing is make sure you save it before you click OK.
Almost any change you're gonna make on this kind of listed view thing, you'll see the floppy sign will pop up right away if you want to make any changes. So just let's focus on that part if there's any change need to be had. Here we have summer mode, snow day, and no school. All those are calendar options. Starting with the summer mode. It's not a schedule, it's a calendar, okay? So basically what that does in the summer mode, if you have a summertime, summer break, 1 month, 2 months, you know the building is not occupied, but at the same time, you want to keep your equipment running through the normal hours. The only thing the summer mode does, it will stop any outside air from coming. So your outside damper will be 0%, your equipment will still and keep running as it should. That will help, saving some energy and moisture, of course, and so on. But if you want to choose a day or a time period, you can just, like, for example, we are looking at June or July, right? So the first day of July, you want to pick that, or you want to pick the whole month. You can hold the click and, oh, that's okay. And keep selecting those days to cover the month that you want, or the 2 weeks, or a week, or whatever you want. And with the same option, you can notice that you have a save at the corner. See that? Whenever when you do the changes, it will be this corner here. Also the floppy, this sign with, it will be orange, so it will be very obvious. And if you don't save it, you go back, we'll ask you the same question. You want to save that or not? So, back into the snow day. Well, the snow day, what it does, it will suspend your equipment from running, and it will run in unoccupied mode. That's what it will do. Basically, that's with the snow day. The no school, it basically no school. Complete shut. Pretty much the no school and the snow day is the same, but the difference is when you activate the snow day, you will notice a sign on the graphic on each equipment that's showing why it is not working. It will show, for example, this is a snow day, okay? So that's the purpose why you have different calendars, so you can distinguish why the equipment is not running. It's just no school for no reason, or there's like a snow day, for example. That's the difference between them. Here you have a freezer temp and cooler temp. And that basically, just sensors has been installed in the building, and then you have the outside temperature, and here the night heating and night cooling set points. Now, the way we did the system, that every equipment had its own night heating and cooling set points. You can take it that way, or you can say, okay, I want that to be global. So my night heating set point, I change it from here, and that should apply for the whole building. Whatever you prefer, let me know, and I can make those adjustments. Okay? This SIP, shelter in place, is basically a graphical shelter in place. You can, once you click on that, you have 30 seconds to make your mind if you want to keep that in shelter in place or not. After that, the whole building will go into sleep. Okay? No equipment, no exhaust fans, none of that. Of course, there is a physical SIP. Push button should be in the admin area, and that will work the same way. Both cases, whenever you hit this or somebody hit the one in the admin, there will be a label here in the middle will actively flashing saying there's a shelter in place.
Do we even need to mess with them settings?
Chemical spill you have in the area, yeah, that will be spread on the news. It was like shelter in place situation. Then you need to shelter in place the building. Actually, every school in the county need to be shelter in place.
Emergency purposes only.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, y'all go through every so often for the energy,
Yeah.
and y'all turn those off for energy, kinda do the core energy thing.
You know, they'll want the whole building shut down. Right.
That's the easiest way to do it.
Here, back to this green rectangular, those options are pretty much similar to the one on the side here, which is the county overview, the start screen, the RTU summary, and the floor plan. Let's go to the RTU summary. And this page will take some time to load up, because it's almost have all the information for the whole site, so we can be patient a little bit on it. So with that show you each zone you have, every classroom, the kitchen, the boiler room, whatever you have in the building, the room name, the equipment number, the room temperature, set point, the humidity level, the CO2 level, economizer percentage, the mixed temperature, the discharge air temperature, and the dehumidification status, if it's like in dehumidification or not. If it's heating, calling for heat, and if it's cooling. And this is the trends here that will show you the trends of the temperature set points, comparison. So the heating, whenever you see this lit up, that means your gas heat is on at this moment. Sometimes you look, see, okay, for example, I'm looking here and I see here 108 degree, but my label here is not red, still grayed out. Well, it was red a few minutes ago. It's just shut down because we exceed the discharge high limit. We don't want to go over like 130 or 120 degrees. Once we get to there, the gas heat will shut down. We'll wait until the discharge temperature, round down for like 85 degree or 80, and then it will back on again. That's the cycle of it. That cycle will take probably 5-10 minutes. So you don't overheat your place. You don't hit the high limits on the equipment. And of course, you don't want to, for example, if you have a fire sprinkler or something, God forbid. So.
I have a question. On this system, is there any way we could detect on whoever's been in the system and done any changes to anything that's been changed? That way we can have communication with each other and tell if something happened that we didn't know about.
Okay, so you're talking about an events track to whoever makes the changes. We can.
What he's saying, like everybody has their own user login.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
You all can see that.
Yeah, we can see that for sure. And if you want to add that kind of,
Communication is key in business.
well, for example, just give you an example with the alarms, with the alarm page. Right now, I put the alarm review only for the stated alarm, like if there's an actual alarm happen. I would recommend also to put the acknowledgements in the list view of the alarms. Why is that? Because if there's an alarm happened and somebody acknowledged it, you will see that alarm had happened like 2 days ago and somebody acknowledged that alarm. So you'll have this log always there. And you don't need to worry about how the list is long because always the active alarm will be in the top. The acknowledge, the reset it will be also always in the bottom. So your priority of the active alarms will be always.
Well, not only that, but I'm talking about CFM changes and things like that also.
Okay, that means you need an event page. I can add to you an event page, but that will be, every single events in the system. You'll
Just like if something's changed, we need to know why.
So here's the thing too, I'm doing a federal building out in Parkersburg right now, and every alarm that's generated, on the active alarm, when they acknowledge it and it returns to normal, every time they go in and accept an alarm, they've got a comment screen that comes up, and they've actually got to write what they did to fix that, or why did that alarm generate, and what's the solution to fix it. So that's another option too. On every alarm, you can have somebody go in there and write, hey, this fan is bad due to squirrel cage issue, you know, whatever. So that's an option too.
The cooling indicator, well, thankfully there's no cooling indicator because it's pretty cold outside. It will lit up, whether that is like DX cooling mode or economizer mode, is always a call for cooling because economizer is the mechanical cooling of the equipment. Now, any question about this page before we move?
Show them how to get on the
Trends?
actual unit.
Oh, the actual unit? Okay. So every single label of those is clickable, okay? You can click, for example, let's take the kitchen units.
I like summary pages. That's, you can kind of get your summary page in the morning.
Yeah.
And everything you need to see is right there. You kind of view your school.
But you can click on the actual RTU there and go straight to the unit.
Yeah.
Just a question on that summary, do any of those values like go red or yellow if they're higher or low?
Mainly the temperature, if it's triggered, like if it's like you're out of range, it will turn red. It will tell you like this is an alarm. Also, same thing on the humidity, same thing on the CO2. So yeah, it is embedded alarms with the summary page. Once it's happened, it will start.
What if you've lost communications? What do you see?
Red crosses. X, big ones.
You ain't gonna be able to change a CFM like you can to other schools now, can you? We can't access this like we can continue.
You've got full control with Continuum.
We don't with this.
Some stuff.
Okay, so
Come on.
you talking about the Chapmanville equipments?
Yeah, he's talking like, can he go in there and, you know.
What can we turn on and off?
Okay.
Is this
so-
like hold?
It's like a real RT.
It is like
Yes.
It's almost identical to hold.
Similar.
It's a
Less or
CAV.
more
So,
control
The
than hold.
problem is with Holden is you're backnetted into the train units and you can only write to
Suggest.
so much.
Yeah.
I don't
you
like
can only
Holden.
change so much.
Yeah.
With this stuff, like primary, the middle school, Chapmanville Middle, you've got full control over those units. But like your Daikin units at Logan Middle, there's a microtech inside those, and you can only write to so many points.
so, for example, this equipment, the kitchen equipment, what you have on every one of those, you have the X coil. It's one compressor, 2 stages, a hot gas reheat, and a primary gas heat. Okay. You have basically I think it's a multi-speed fan because it has multi-taps. It will start on a certain speed, and then once it's like pick up the heat or the cool mode, it will automatically ramp up to speed. But on your end, you will see it's on or off. You're not going to see what the speed is at. But you can determine that just by looking at the system. If it's like in heating mode or in cooling, that will tell you if the fan is actually at a higher speed or not. If that makes sense.
So does those have a speed drive on?
No,
No.
no speed.
Or a DC motor?
It's an ECM motor, but you have your high, medium, low. Okay. Like, yeah, I got it.
Those are all direct drive too.
Yes, every one.
What's the difference in
That's
speed to
good.
the motor? Like medium.
They got worried about fail
So your
switches.
cooling's gonna run high, you know, your heating's
Set the
going
motor
low.
off outside.
So it's pretty much.
That's nothing for the board.
Yeah, it's depending on what is it called for. Is it calling for heat to have a certain speed, or cooling will be certain speed. On the fan only is also I think the lower speed that you'll have. you have, starting from the economizer, you don't have two actuator actually, it's only one. And here's your outside number value, 0 right now, and the return damper is like shown 100%. This 100%, when I'm showing that, is just a calculated value, okay? It's not there's an actuator running for the return by itself and the outside. They are sharing the same actuator.
Yeah,
What
so,
would a return damper do?
so when you, say you take the outside air damper, you cut it to 50%. Well, the outside air and the return's hooked together, so as you're opening the outside air to 50%, it's opening the return as well. So when you close the outside air, you're actually opening the return.
It's like self-manning both of them.
Yeah.
If you wanna pull in outside air.
So, can,
do 100, take the return.
can you see,
Yes, yes.
can you see both the outside air and return at the same time?
Well, that's what he's saying. He wrote a
You'll see
program
the
to
value.
kinda show
Value.
the return.
So,
So if your values ain't the same, potentially one of your damper motors might be.
well, you don't have two damper motors.
Oh, there's only one.
You have only one.
There's one opens, the other one shuts.
So whatever the outside damper, the return will be the subtract of it. If we have 100% total, okay, of the volume of the air, if you are 70% on the outside, that means you are 30% on the return.
Okay.
Vice versa, right? Here you have a filter. That filter, whenever it will be locked, basically it will show you there's an alarm state. On the equipment day training, maybe Jeff will show you where.
Now, I didn't know the day you told me not never to close that to 0 on the outside there,
Yeah, I don't recommend that.
because you recommended closing the return.
Oh, you're talking about this? I told here you don't want to override those. You have here on the information box a minimum position and a maximum position. If you want to shut your damper without overriding anything, you just change your set point to 0. That's what you can, but you have to retrieve that. I mean, you don't just change it to 0 and you go away from it.
Is there a summertime mode to this?
Yep.
So, the only 2 times I would be closing that outside air would be if it's really, really cold,
Uh-huh.
or it's really, really hot,
Okay. Are
or
we
it's
talking?
really, really rainy.
Okay. So that means if it's really, really rainy, that you probably want to do the summer mode, because will be the option, because that will keep your equipment running
Correct.
and shutting down your outside damper completely. Now you can do it through calendar, as we showed in the start screen, if you remember, when you pick one day, for example, and that will apply for the whole equipment, all the equipments, rather than go through each one of those. And actually, if you look at the information box on the bottom here, you have a snow day and you have a summer mode. Whenever you put a calendar day, that will say active. It will say snow day is active or summer day is active. That's right. And if you don't want to do it through the calendar just for a single equipment, you can override the summer mode from here for this equipment just by forcing it. Yeah, just by forcing the summer mode on this equipment, the equipment will apply the change for itself.
Snow day and summer days pretty much.
That's right.
So you should never go to, so if there works on outside air, or where it's got the return air, and it really messes with it.
I don't recommend that. I don't recommend to override an actual value on the.
So when they disable, say, summer mode, right? Will that show up under your forced values?
Yep, it will show up. And by the way, one of the good feature with the update we did on the 5.0, you have the option to have a timed force value. So you can force it and you can pick the time for an hour, for 2. And then it basically it will reset itself after the time period will be done.
Yeah, the point I was trying to make though was, we're used to getting like man-handled, up there in the summertime, you gotta close those outside airs.
Keep it hotter.
Yes, and then sometimes, a lot of times we'll be on the unit and just go right there and click on it, close, or put it to zero.
So
For
Jay,
testing, for testing, you can, but he just saying, he doesn't.
But you can just reach over and hit summer mode, and that'll do the same thing.
Yeah.
like
Why?
staying there.
So he's saying don't mess with that value.
Well, that's not my
return or
question.
the.
That's not my question. You was talking about really humid, hot, cold. Does this control system not operate the actuator
Yeah, 35 degrees.
based off of humidity and outside temperature? If it's too
Yeah.
cold, it should
Yeah.
open.
35 degrees.
If it's too hot, it shouldn't open.
Well,
If it's 100 feet
depends
humidity,
that depends on the mixed temperature that you have, how low it gets. That's one of the things.
You've also got demand control ventilation, so it's looking at CO2.
No
Once
matter
it's
what it
over
is outside, it'll open.
CO2 is gonna override
Yeah.
everything.
1100, 1200.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, what is the level on the CO2?
But sometimes on the CO2 control, you might have a sub-zero condition, like a very cold day, and then the minimum position that you're putting for your equipment is not enough to keep up with the CO2 level in the zone. Even if being though calculated and balanced and so on, maybe the zone itself is overpopulated. Like you have a room that requires 10 people, there's now 30, like 40. The equipment does not know if it's that like is those people are there or not. It just look at that CO2 and react to that, right? So
It's usually outside air plus 650 or 700, outside air is usually 400, 150.
1200 is the level that we are looking at.
That's
Okay.
fine.
Well, 1200.
So, once, your CO2 level gets to 1200.
It's gonna start opening outside there.
It's gonna open outside.
That's when kids start to.
No matter what. Yeah, it don't-
Now let me explain also those information box thing to not get confused between what is the minimum position and what is the max position. For you all, you think max position is 100%. Yeah, it's 100% if you are going to economize. If you're trying to do, for example, you have a 55-degree outside and your inside zone is warm enough to call for cooling, now the economizer will try to modulate open to get more fresh air, right? Cold air to cool down the space. Now it can get up to 100% because your outside is already 55, so your discharge temperature will never climb over 55, right? That's not the maximum position I'm talking about here. This is the ventilation maximum position. The min and the max is the limitation of your ventilation. So minimum position is the starting point as the operation happened, let's say 10%, okay? And the 10% was not enough to keep up with the CO2 levels. What now? Are we gonna go 100%? What if it's humid outside? You're gonna bring 100% air to bring up the CO2 level down and rise up your humidity up to 85%? So the maximum position is something above the minimum position, slightly above, maybe 1.5 times, maybe double time, to give you more flexibility to ventilate your zone. That's what is all about.
What is the standard minimum and maximum number?
Sorry, is that?
Standard minimum and maximum number. What
So
is that?
the minimum, usually the minimum is a calculated value by CFM. That's the balance that we should
What
do.
is your guys' standard?
If you want to know exactly, I think it's 0.12 CFM per square foot of the classroom area, but it's something that the balancer.
Yeah, I don't have a CFM measurement here to say, but I would say always, if you don't know what is your maximum ventilation position, you can look at your minimum.
I think Chapmanville Regional shows.
You can look at your minimum position that's being set. It's being set for 10%. You can go up to 15, like 1.5.
I engineer.
Say somebody's got it in their mess with it, we should know what it should be, you know what I mean?
Yeah, those information of the minimum value, after the balancer created his final report, you need a copy of those information. If somebody wasted this information or like deleted the value of the minimum position and you don't know what it is at this point in time, you probably need that reference. And we can put those also inside the VAS, so you never lose it, okay? moving to the space temp and the set points. I mean, that's very basic concept that you have a control space temp and control set point. Then you have a cooling and heating set points. So which one I'm going to control? I'm going to control always the control space set points, okay? The cooling and the heating will change whenever you change your control space set points. Let me say that again. You have a control space set point. This is the actual set point. When somebody pushed the button, that's the actual number that changed. Cooling and heating set point will change automatically. So if you go 1 degree above, raise your set point 1 degree, your cooling set point will automatically rise up. Your heating set point, huh? That's for the thermostat or from here. So if you're here, you can click on, yeah, you can click on this, and you can see there's a plus and minus here. You see that? See those plus and minus? So you can go minus ½ degree at a time, and that's applied to the local user. Whenever he push, every time he push, he go ½ degree at a time, okay? And after that, it will take a few seconds, and the cooling set point you can see. The cooling has raised up to 71, and the heating is 68. Now, Mr. Browning asked me a question earlier, how I make sure that my system not gonna go really warm, and then it will call for cooling after that. Here's the thing. The unit will never start to heat until the temperature get below the heating set point, okay? So if I'm 69 degree or I'm 67 right now, I have to go a little bit like a ½ degree or a degree below the heating set point, and then the unit will start to heat up. It will start to heat after 15 minutes, 20 minutes. It will look for the median set point here, the 69. It will reach 69, it will stop. That will guarantee that the temperature will never go above the actual set point. And it will never call for cooling.
Is that a cooling set point too?
Yep. So the cooling set points, you get like over 71 degree, okay? That dead band that keep you safe from overlapping, always.
How about giving us the recommended set point temps on all the set points?
Well, originally the spec from the engineer called for between 70 to 74 as a range.
That's 70 to 74, that's all.
But how your occupant are satisfied with that, I don't know, because I've seen many times Coles complains about a zone is already 70 degree for like, and they want it to be like 67.
Let's go straight down here.
And Phil here can agree with that. How many times we had a complaint about the perfect set points, perfect temperature, and they complain about, okay, it's hot or it's cold, well, it's already okay. I mean,
I was just going off the recommended set point.
so the recommend. So I said, like the engineer said, 70 to 74, you can follow that, but he said also adjustable. You have a limitation you can change. Now, I always put a limitation. You cannot go below a certain number.
Whole reason I'm asking that is people go in there and change this stuff.
Even if they change it, even if they hit the rock bottom of their set point, they're not gonna go, for example, for 60. There's a limit. And by the way, the cooling set points and the heating set point will not let you to change it unless you force it. While you can tell from the actual set points, right away there is a plus and minus sign where you can modify it easily without any troubles. Yeah. So.
But show them there on over to the right there, because I can't see it very good, where the heating and cooling set point is. Just say you wanted to.
Yeah, I was explaining that just a few minutes ago, but I will go through it again.
Because I want them to make sure they understand that. You can't just go to the heat and turn it up.
You got to do active set point.
Those numbers are basically for you guys to see what's going on in the system, when the system is heating, when the system is cooling. Because you're the maintenance guy, you need to understand what's going on in your equipment, right?
So, I know it's not related to this. On any of them values that we can touch and change, can you force, because you guys said that you could force for an amount of time. So if I want to check something, I can force it 1 hour.
Yeah. So, give me an example. What you want to force? That's my
Uh,
question.
Outside air with the heat, I can force,
You want to force the heat?
well, I mean anything, it don't matter what. it is.
Okay. So, right now the units, by the way, went to heating mode. Okay. So, it doesn't take that much of time. I mean, if you're patient for like 2 minutes, you can change the set points, and you push it to heat, and you can also take the set point down and push it for cooling. What you can do also for yourself, if you want to change something.
Let's do it with the outside air damper.
Yeah, if that's all I want to touch,
Okay.
the outside air.
So the outside damper, as I said, I don't recommend to mess with it that much. If you can, look at this minimum position here that you look at right now. Whatever value you'll see there, just keep it in mind or write it down so you don't lose it. Okay. And then you can start to give whatever number you want, and the damper will follow right away. That is not a forcible way. You know what I mean? It's just a program, and you're pushing it without forcing anything.
That's what I was saying. Is there
Yeah.
a way you can force it and
Because
keep from forgetting and
yeah.
say, I want to force it for 20 minutes?
Yeah, you can do that. I mean,
Show them how to do that. Say they didn't want to do the minimum.
okay. So
That way we can't forget about changing the minimum to a.
just a quick reference for you guys to distinguish between if this is an actual actuator or something controllable or just a mathematical number, okay? So if I click on the outside damper here, you will see here a little description, right? A lot of information that doesn't make any sense, but you can see here says I/O, okay? I/O means this is one of the outputs or an input. So this one is an output, economizer. However, you want to force it. What you can do, you click on force here, and a timer will show up just beside the force. You see that? You click that. You can pick the time, the hours, and duration. If you want the duration, for example, here you can pick 1 hour. You can make it 0 hours and 5 minutes, for example. Whatever you want. You just put the time. You can put a days. Up to you. That's the proper way to do it, so you don't forget about it. It will revert back automatically.
So, this is getting off subject again, but it goes back to the time. Say there's a ball game or a dance on a Saturday night, and instead of going in and changing the whole schedule, could you just go to that unit and do the occupied on and force it for, say, if it's going to last from 5 to 10,
You can do that, yeah.
Yes.
just for 6 hours
You can do that.
on a
Yep.
certain day.
Then you don't have to.
Then you don't have to worry about going back in and changing it back.
No. Yep. You can do
Better
that. Yep.
get ready for that Logan Middle School.
Oh, well, he already does it.
Yep. You can do that. Yep.
He calls me on Saturday morning.
That dude lives there.
You can do the occupied. That's right. And plus, every equipment, by the way, those Chapman primary and Chapman middle, they have an override button on the local wall stat. So since they are individual equipment, if somebody just push the button on it, it will run for an override time of 2 hours.
That's after hours.
Yeah, this will be unoccupied, nobody in there, and you hit that home button on the wall stat. That will give you a 2 hours override. Now that time can be adjustable. Again, if you want to make a global change, I can give you a global override time. So it'd be like 120 minutes. You can make it, for example, 400 minutes, 600 minutes, whatever you want to.
Okay.
Okay?
The override button, that's on the thermostat, right?
Yep.
What if a teacher pushes that while it's occupied? Will it do?
Doesn't
Won't do
matter. I
nothing.
mean,
It's not gonna do nothing.
doesn't matter.
That's already occupied.
It's override is override. It's running anyway, so nothing will.
I didn't know.
It will show here though. It will show you that somebody override or push that button. Okay, you will see it. But
So we can keep the line to us, really. That's what. We didn't mess with it. We didn't mess with it.
those scenarios is over my head, man.
The override button is only taking it to occupied, correct?
No,
It'll only work.
it will take it to override occupation, not occupied. The actual occupied is only by schedule.
Okay, I'm saying it's already in occupied.
Yeah.
If they hit the button, it's not gonna do anything.
No, it will. It will run. That's why it's an override. It's the purpose behind it. If it's an unoccupied mode,
In occupied mode.
yep, you're in occupied mode. The unit is shut down, nobody there, and Saturday you have a teacher or whoever get into the school and they want to work in a certain area. Okay, they can hit that override, and it will give them the equipment for 2 hours without even anybody of you getting to the system and changing anything.
Can they hit it after the 2 hours up, get 2 more hours?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So I can just keep on.
Yep.
Yes, I was just curious.
Awesome.
As far as our temperature values go, on active set point,
Mm-hmm.
we can put whatever we want. So if we
Well,
wanna-
let's talk about that part. This is a very good question. So, control space set point. If I click on that, I have the ability to go to a certain number. Okay. Now, right now, you probably have it between 68 to 74 because we had some complaints in the past saying, okay, this is hot, this is cold, whatever. So 68 to 75 is the limits that you have. You can call me and say, hey, I want all the schools to be, for example, 70 to 74, because again, it's adjustable.
So we can't change that.
You can change that, but not from here. It's got to be from the actual system. I'll show you that part after we done on the actual software.
All we can control is that limit,
Yeah.
68 to 75.
So what I was getting at is if we go back to the testing part,
Uh-huh.
if we want to test the heat, and it's already 75 in there, we can't raise active set point up to 78
Uh-huh.
to watch it kick on because it's limited
Okay.
to 75 max.
What you can do, which is a little trick, but I would say it's a dangerous one. You can force the space temperature itself.
For an hour.
Yeah. But actually, I was like skeptical about that because a lot of guys will do that and they will forget about it and it will be a big trouble. But again, from the thick clients, once we finish that, I can show you through the computer how to change the limitation of the set point itself. Right now, whatever you have, 68, 67, whatever, we can give you the option to change it from there. Would that work for you?
Can we change the local stat from local to control on here?
Yes.
Yes.
Lock it out.
Yeah.
Yes, you can, But right now, I mean, you have the I would say two-way switch. I mean, they can change it and you can change it. And again, through the thick clients, you will have the ability to change that once we.
Right now, the superintendent wants the teacher to be able to control their own room.
Well, I was talking like a common room, like the cafeteria or the gym. You know how
Yeah.
we got Chapmanville, all the other buildings are set up. Just certain rooms don't have local control, like the big commons areas and stuff.
Yeah. We can deny the user from using the local set point for sure. I would recommend one thing in the summertime. Always try to get away from the 70 degree zone. Go up to 72, 73, something like that, because maybe the temperature is easy to control, but the humidity will be a big issue you'll have.
Yeah.
68s, 68 degree temperature and you want a 55% humidity, you need a very efficient equipment to do that. High efficient, like something, because you will have an outside, fresh air coming to your zone, right? And that's a constant humidity all the time.
Well, let me ask you a question. What should it be set on in the summertime?
72 to 73 is a very good space temp for the summertime. And there's the combination, like for example, if you're in summer mode and at the same time is override, the outside damper will not work.
So he needs to.
Oh, so even if it's overridden, it won't.
Yeah, like summer mode is supreme for the outside damper.
Okay.
Doesn't care if his unit is running or not running, whatever who's using it is strictly for the outside damper. So if somebody override that in the summer and you are after hours, you're not going to open the outside damper.
What about
So-
CO2?
Huh?
What about CO2?
Regardless, because you picked the summer mode, right?
Well, I was just.
Yeah. So if you have an occupancy day, you probably want to take that summer mode from it and let it roll as a normal day, right? So that's the give and take, because you want a summer mode to keep your equipment out of the fresh air or like whatever outside humidity and so on. At the same time, you probably have an event, right? Gym units, for example. The gym units, I would argue they will have a lot of events where actual students will come in the summertime and practice, play, whatever. So probably you want to exclude those from your summer mode to keep a fresh air in, unless you're okay with your CO2 in the summer. That's also up to you.
So is that our increased in the summer mode?
No, yeah. Back to the start screen here. That's what we talked about at the beginning. You have here a calendar for the summer mode. You can pick what day on calendar as a month, a week, whatever you want. 2 months in a row, whatever you have on your calendar dates, and save it, and that will apply for the whole site.
Can you pick individual units to bring out of summer mode?
Yeah, you can pick one day. That's fine.
No, individual units.
Okay.
Like if you've got,
So no, but if you want, what you can do, once you hit the equipment itself, you can override the summer mode from here. Okay. You see the information box, the bottom, down bottom. There's a snow day in the bluish color, and there's the reddish color summer mode. So you can override that. You see this is saying inactive. You can click on it, force it for a time period, or just keep it forced for whatever time you want, and it should work the same way individually. But overall, the summer mode is always
When you put it in summer mode, what does your outside air damper do? Does it
close.
go to zero?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about your heat and cool set points? Do they relax a lot?
No.
Do they go the same as unoccupied? Is it
Same as
different?
unoccupied.
Same as occupied? Or-
Same as occupied.
So that's going to mean there's people in the building, but
That's right.
like just very few, like custodians.
That's right. So that's why we have also a no school schedule, a calendar. Let's back to the start screen. You can put no school plus summer mode. Okay? So you can schedule the no school, which is basically a week or a month. You have no school, certainly nobody. That will be the unoccupied heating and cooling set points.
So that's your 80 and 60 or
78 maybe, and 50 or 60 some degree. 80 is pretty high, I would say, probably.
Not,
Yeah.
not set back.
Okay.
but you would have to put it to no school.
Then summer mode.
Yes.
No school means some people.
Yeah, no school is you overriding your occupancy schedule to be non-occupied for a certain amount of time. That's the no school calendar for. The summer mode is to stop your outside damper from operating in any kind of position. Not economizer, not a 0, not 100, not 10, not whatever. Okay, you stop
In
it
other
there.
words, what he's saying, when it's summer mode, the possibility there can be people still working in the building, and it's still gonna operate. But if you put it in summer mode and you hit no school,
It ain't gonna work.
it's not gonna work then.
Unless it's over.
So you're not gonna have no mode then.
So Hassan can probably confirm or justify, as you increase your space temperature, you decrease your relative humidity. So the warmer areas, the more moisture it can hold. So that's why we recommend in the summertime you go to as high as possible if there's nobody in the building.
So we don't wanna shut, we don't wanna shut the units off.
No.
You want them to run.
Like Danny did.
You
Right.
wanna
If you
motivate it.
remember,
You just wanna motivate
Bill
it,
was
right?
one of them. He shut down and all that water, it caused every room up there to mold.
But you want your outside air damper shut because that's gonna bring in moisture if you have it open. So when outside air damper shut, if nobody's in the building, you want it as warm as possible. I guess if there is staff, you can bring on certain areas to keep them comfortable.
So if I click on my space temperature here, I have a trend that we created. Let's wait on that to load. All right. So you have 3 lines here. Those are the main concern probably for everyone when we look at the zone is the humidity, the set point, and the temperature. Here, the bottom line, you can see it is the humidity. Once you hover over that, it will tell you humidity. You can see that. That's the trend for the last maybe 24 hours. Here, you have the temperature. You can see here, for example, earlier this morning, the temperature was 65 if we're hovering over this period of time, around 3 a.m., okay? And then after a period of time, we have like the schedule starting at 5, like whatever time we set it to, the temperature will start to rise and it like basically match the set point. So that way you know your room is doing well, your equipment is doing well. Once you see those lines are diverted, like you have a 60-degree temperature while your set point is 72, that's okay. That's very obvious. There's a problem here, right? So those trends, you can go back. For example, you can see here the option, probably is a little bit blurry, but those option basically is showing me a 1 day or 7 days in a row. So 1 day is what I'm looking at right now. 7 days, you can see this is expand for the last 7 days that we have on the calendar. And once you hover over any of those points, you can see what was going on there, right? That helps a lot on troubleshooting or looking at your values, your system, whatever you're trying to track.
If nobody turns it off and breaks a daisy chain.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, if they turned off the controller, basically you'll have a missed interval in your trends. Like that date was not recorded because your controller was off, so none of the sensor was on, right?
So, I have another question.
Sure.
Phil brought up the daisy chain, so somebody turns the disconnect off on accident, or turns it off to work on,
Yeah.
forgets it, leaves it. That kills every unit.
No. After we end probably with Logan Middle next week, that way we put the last control we have there. But Chapman Primary, for example, this one is an RSTP, which is basically a ring topology. And that means any equipment going to shut off is not going to affect the others. Because the bus of the communication running both way, okay, to the end. So if something in the middle has been shut down, you should still able to see what's going on through it, left and right.
Well, it's not like it used to be. Controller goes
You
bad,
drop a controller on,
you lose the rest. But if you drop the controller here, you lose that.
Where is the controller on these?
On the equipment itself. On the RTUs, it's on the equipment itself. On the Logan middle, it's basically on the above the ceiling, beside the equipment.
Okay, yeah.
And it's most of the time it's independent from the equipment. So when you shut off your equipment there in Logan middle, it doesn't affect the controller, and it'll make you feeling what's going on here. Okay.
Is,
Go through that in a minute.
like Hogan's got the back net controller on the back of the RTRM. How's the docking? Does the control wire go into their board? So it doesn't have a separate board.
No, it's inside the equipment. So there's like, if you look at the equipment and that one on the equipment day training, there's a side called a control access panel. You open it up, you will see the controller in, and it's a Snyder controller. It's not like a
Okay.
It's not like a Microtech or something like that.
So the Microtech controller isn't what your communication goes into.
The
It
micro,
goes into another controller and then jumps.
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like the train at home. There's two controllers. There's the unit controller and the controller you guys tap into.
no, there's one controller.
In
One
the
controller.
middle, you've got backnet cards, right?
Well, what?
Below the middle, on the
Those only the only equipment that we have with a BACnet card is the AHUs and ACUs plus the chiller of Logan Middle. All the rest of the equipment, the whole.
So on the roof, we're tied into the microtechs. Inside your classrooms, you've got Schneider controllers. that
It was
control-
just like it was kind of like what was there before, but you really couldn't get into that.
When we do equipment training, we'll go around, I'll show you.
Plus the O&M manual we provide that will show you the network architect, how it's being like connected, and that will tell you those are like the bagnets, factory bagnet. This is a Snyder controls or whatever has been connected. And usually the one that we have right now, they're an MSTP bus. That's what we have. And the others are an IP bus.
Okay.
Yep. Now, here on this corner, you'll see the run time of this equipment. How many hours it's been running, for right now it's reading 817 hours. This is not constant for sure. This is like occupied, unoccupied, and there's like the time that's been running. Those are, and that be counted every time the fan is running, because the main component in the equipment is the fan. It's a trigger for every other feature in it. On this side, you have alarm and reset. That's what we call a unit failed alarm. And basically, when you lose a fan status, fan not running anymore, that is the ultimate failure because you cannot do anything with it anymore. So,
Doesn't work.
yeah, so it might be somebody messed with it a little bit and it showed like a active alarm. The way to put it that bag, you just hit the reset, and every program related to the fan will kick on from the beginning. It will take maybe 3 minutes, 2 minutes, and it will back to the normal operation. Okay. Here also, just to mention, I don't want to forget, you have a history, and that history kind of like combine all the feature and the equipment what it was doing for the last month or so. Fan status, occupancy, so on. So it's the history of.
So it'll go back in time to a
Yeah, it's like.
certain day.
Now, will the history tell you if someone had deactivated or activated, messed with
Well-
that unit in particular?
Plus, yeah, it's basically the history for this equipment itself, not something else. So that will basically show you all the activities, all the information coming from that equipment by timestamps, okay? It's going back by time, by day. You see your cooling set point, your compressor lock set point. So the compressor is locked at 52 at this moment. That means it will not run unless it's above 52 degrees, okay? You have also your humidity set point, your humidity dead band, 5%. the occupancy, if there's any unit failed log that happened in the past, cooling, stage 1 and 2 tells you when it's like active or non-active. So all those information is there. You just track the time you want to look at and see your event. Okay. Fan enabled, the fan status, filter, all of it. So the history is pretty useful if you want to go back in time to see everything about your equipment. Floor plans. The floor plan here being split to A and B. Right now we are in section A. That will show you every classroom, and there's the three information I put on the floor plan. Probably you're used to that look from the old system, right? And that's why I make it that way. Usually I put only temperature and classroom name, but since you already use that method, so we stay consistent with it. Temperature, humidity, CO2, and the economizer. Now, Mr. Peterson, like the other day, he sent me an email, said like, I want an explanation for those, so you have this tag here, explain what those means. Instead of writing every one of them, economizer, CO2, and so on, we just put this key, so you know what does that means. Here, a little bit, it's just like explaining what does this block of information means. It tells you this is a temperature, this is a humidity, this is a CO2, this is economizer, okay? Now every one of those classroom labels are clickable, meaning you can click on classroom number 10 and you should be able to get to the unit there. You can click on a classroom number 2 and so on. And it is basically another way to access your equipment. If you don't like the summary page, you can go through the floor plan.
There's an A and a B.
Yeah, B, so you can see here on the bar, instead of floor plan, it will say floor plan B. So once you click on that, it will push you to the B section.
It's the rest of the building.
Rest of the building, that's right. It's pretty straightforward. There's not much going on. I mean, we already went through the summary, which is more of it. And any question about the floor plan?
And each one of these has to be done, like if you want to change the schedule, each room has got its own schedule. Like this building.
There is no master schedule that drives everything.
No. That was the original plan to make a master schedule. After that, we went from a master schedule to have a visual schedules. Now, when you click on the RTU graphic, the option of a schedule will take you to the schedule itself of that unit. Okay, you will see the schedule. If you, on the main screen here, if you click on schedule, that will take you to a dashboard of schedules, basically. You pick whatever room you're looking at, and you change your schedule from there.
So this is just the occupied, unoccupied schedule.
That's right. This is a schedule. Like, let's just determine there's a difference between a schedule and a calendar, okay? Schedule is what's your day-to-day operation. That's what it is. Monday to Friday, Saturday. It's a weekly events, right? Happening every week, every day. The calendar is a date. You pick a date and you create your event on that date. That's how it works. Okay, so the calendar is basically commanding the schedule, is overriding the schedule to do something.
If you have a snow day or something,
That's right.
you only have to do one entry on the calendar, and it'll
Yeah,
do the entire school. So
that's right. The calendar, it will apply for this master. It will command all the schedules that we have, the individual schedules that we have. So here's your occupied time right now. It's from 5 a.m. to 4 p.m. You can see the green columns. This is where your time period that's been specified. You can add an exception events. There's an option here, this one here. It's called an exception. And that exception, you can go through that and specify a time, basically for that day you're looking at, and you can choose it to be occupied or unoccupied. So per se, somebody called you and say, hey, I want to extend my schedule for several hours for that building or for that equipment, right? On the gym, on the kitchen, and so on. When you do the exception event, what you can do, you can specify the time. So your schedule from 4 a.m. to 4 p.m., right? And he tells you, hey, I want this equipment to run up to 7 of that night. You know it's ending at 4, so you have to have an extension time after 4, right? So what I will do, and we talked about that the other day, if your schedule ending at 4, don't start your event at 4. Because that means it might be the equipment will shut down and will turn on again, right? You don't want that to happen, but you can overlap. So your schedule ending at 4, put it at 3:50. Start at 3:50 and end up at whatever time you want, okay? That way you'll see that the extension is matching your green line and it's going up, okay? So today is the 15th. We want to extend from 3:45 p.m. up to, let's say, 6, right? And we want to occupy it.
Well, you gotta notice what he done there, because normally, like on the other schedules, you would just went over there to the ending, like you wanted to make it 10 o'clock. But see, he went back over here to the left when it's starting, and he's wanting you to do it 10 or 15 minutes before the, so it'll overlap.
But we could just tell them to push over it.
You can. I mean, it's up to you. This is, I'm trying to show you the legal way to do it. It's up to you. If you want to override, you can override. So, I mean, but this is what is scheduled for.
But what that screen is showing you there, that this is an exception.
Yeah.
And if you're going to change the time, then you come over here to the first one there, and you start it there, which would be like 3:45 or whatever, 10 or 15 minutes before.
That way it don't shut off and kick right back on.
Yes.
You may have already said it, but do these have like an optimal start where they'll be at temperature, whatever you schedule, or do you have to plan for some warm up, cool down time?
Well, the optimal start from what I saw, or what my unoccupied set point at. We put the unoccupied set point at 78, right? So if we exceeded the 78, the units will run. But when it will shut down, it's not going to shut down if it's get below 78 only. No, it will track the actual occupancy set point. Once it's satisfied, then it will shut down. So you're not looking for 2 degrees and the unit shut down. We're talking about 7 degrees, maybe an hour of operation, maybe more, and to satisfy that, with adding that, you have already a 5 a.m. schedule start. The optimal start will be like useless at that point in time. We can take a break for a few minutes and go back. That's fine. I want you to focus and get the information you want.